Hey, this podcast holds nothing sacred. This is Life, Tech, and Sundry. And what is Sundry? It's our experiences put in a melting pot to the internet. So join us on this wild ride called the LTS Podcast. Follow us at LT Sundry on Twitter, LTS.pod on Instagram, Life, Tech, and Sundry on YouTube, and all your favorite podcast distribution services. Stay frosty.
Imagine this: a dark, dusty pen, a 2,000-pound bull, a rider who just hit the ground hard, the air knocked out of his lungs, pinned against the rails, silence. Then, out of the shadows, something massive drops into the frame with prehistoric weight, like that iconic shot of the T-Rex leg hitting the mud in the iconic movie Jurassic Park, shaking the ground, shifting the gravity of the scene. But instead of a predator, it is a giant, oversized clown shoe, ready to step in, to draw in the heat and save a life. This is a solo episode of LTS Out of Office, brought to you by your host, Marcos. On this solo episode, we aren't in the rider's seat of the bull. We aren't the ones trying to hang on for those 8 seconds of glory. Instead, we're observing the massive contributions, the technical brilliance, and the crushing pressure placed squarely on the shoulders of the rodeo clown. It's a role forged in the dirt, by accident, by the way, fueled by the tenacity of the human spirit, and mastered by those who realized that in any market, when the stakes become lethal, you don't run, you innovate. Kicking it off with the first segment, the history of rodeo. I'm going to give you some patch notes, if you will. Rodeo began in the 1800s as a lethal job review, where ranch hands compared skills like riding, roping, and many more. Basically, they were your daily chores, turned into a competition between neighboring ranch outfits. As the 1800s, that's a hard word, I don't know why. 1800s reached the 1880s, so basically 100 years, almost 100 years, Wild West shows emerged. These chores were packaged, if you will, for the public. These were very popular. These were like the Marvel movies, the movie theaters of its time. But the safety protocols were non-existent. If a rider fell, well, they were entirely on their own. The industry realized really early on that danger was the primary product, creating a high-stakes environment where the only thing missing was a dedicated protector. But when the spectacle grew too dangerous for the performers, the arena demanded a new kind of hero, one who could turn a distraction into a defense. Kicking it off to segment 2 of this story, the pivot, or the blossoming of the Funnyman. In the 1920s, quote-unquote clowns were hired strictly to fill in dead air. Pens or chutes were reset with the bull and the rider, adding jokes and pratfalls that had zero connection to the athletics in the arena. As bulls were bred to be faster and more aggressive, the injuries spiked, forcing the entertainers to step into the line of fire to save lives. Early pioneers realized they could stun, in computer terms or in technical terms, like on phones, on websites, it's called like a DDoS, if you will, a bull's brain with bright colors and movement, hacking the animal's predatory focus and transforming a comedy act into a human firewall. That shift from comedy to combat required more than just courage. It required a mastery of the very physics of the animal itself. Basically, the geometry of survival. Or another one would be to hacking the OS of the bull. Mastery in this world is measured by the 2-inch rule. I know it sounds crazy, but yes. The gap between the bull's horns and the fighter's hip, where precision, Kobe levels if you will, like a basketball player, replaces recklessness. Elite bullfighters don't watch the head, or the horns for that matter. They watch the bull's center of gravity, the hips, to predict the animal's next pivot before it even happens. By matching the bull's rhythm, the clown enters a sliver of space where the animal's own momentum makes it physically impossible to turn sharp enough to strike. Once the physics were solved, the job became so specialized that it split into 2 distinct high-performance roles, kicking it off with the specialized roles. The barrelman. The barrelman as the immovable object, using a barrel, padded by the way, approximately weighing like 100 pounds. Of course, it was made out of steel and foam. It provided a fixed anchor of safety in a chaotic market. And then there is the bullfighter. This person is the pure athlete, managing the dynamic variables. Their jobs basically became the dance, keeping the threat in a loop so the rider has time to exit. The split role architecture, if you will, ensures that while one person manages the infrastructure or the scenery with the anchor point, the other handles the dance, if you will, creating a redundant safety system. Not perfect, but redundant. This architecture isn't just a theory. It's a discipline that has produced legends whose names are etched into the dirt of the arena. Kicking it off with pop culture and some nuance. The first one is called Flint Rasmussen. Proven that you could be a world-class athlete and an entertainer simultaneously, bringing the mastery of the dance into the mainstream. In pop culture, films like 8 Seconds immortalized the invisible save, showing that the clown's split-second intervention is the only reason the hero walks out of the arena. Legends like Rob, the kamikaze, if you will, Smets, who survived not 1 but 2 broken necks to return to the pocket, and serves as the ultimate case study in human tenacity when the stakes are highest. Yet, even with all that glory, we have to ask ourselves, why would anyone willingly choose to risk their life where a simple misstep is final? Well, why the risk then? There's another bullfighter called the Jesse Byrne example. We often ask why these athletes don't just choose a safer 9-to-5 career, but for the elite performers, the choice is between living with a cubicle or living with mastery. Again, look at Jesse Byrne, one of the absolute best in the business. There's a video that inspired me to do this episode. I'm going to give you the timestamp and I'll put it in the description as well. specifically at the 7-minute and 33-second mark of his career highlights specifically, you see the 2-inch rule fail, but he doesn't flinch. He steps into the direct line of fire, taking the hit to buy the rider life. Applying the quote-unquote pocket to your own life means stopping the run from your bulls, if you will, whether it's market shift or career crisis, and learning to read the hips to find your rhythm. The rodeo clown proves that the most vital roles aren't always the ones we plan for. They are the ones we forge in the heat of the moment because we refuse to be trampled. At the end of the day, even though they sometimes take the hit, they bleed for the dance. They are the absolute masters of their craft. And if you ask them, they wouldn't trade that dirt for a cubicle or a 9-to-5 for any amount of money. They are the legends of this world, living in the pocket so the rest of us can keep dreaming. If you found value in today's session, I've included links in the description below where you can follow the journey, support the show, and stay connected with everything LTS is building. This has been Marcos Lopez for the LTS Out of Office. Stay safe, stay frosty, stay fluid,